Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
And away we go. Welcome to show number 2,843. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, the Ted Smith, Robin Fox, and Mike Hawk. And you are in the men's room. On tap today, Macholas, we are 15 days away from Red Festival. Here come the bad jokes, Macholas. The return of Ted versus the FCC. Get ready to play Profile This. Plus headlines, the men's room shot of the day, fun listener emails, and everyone's favorite TV time with Ted. Click, clack.
Drink it to drunkenness.
There you go. Florida man pulled over with a hatchet, tells cops he travels with it because of all the scumbags there. Yeah. We go to England where a couple becomes Randy in a cemetery in daylight and goes completely bare. Man sells stock photo on internet and is now the face of not getting it up. A family's camera shows child escaping room with the help of their 2 pups. And Yellowstone once again, has to remind visitors to stay away from the bison. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, Micholas. Good day to you and yours. All right, unless you've been living under a rock, there's been a lot of chatter lately about the on, then off, now on again talks between Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Now, as of right now, the meeting is on. But the question on everybody's mind, of course, will former NBA star Dennis Rodman, is he going to be there, right? Somehow this has become a thing. Well, Rodman is inexplicably friends with Kim Jong-un. We don't know how, we don't know why, but they are in fact friends. And Rodman wants to go, but he might miss the event because when Trump was asked about it, he said, like, I don't know, but he's not invited. He didn't say he could not come. But he said, I'm not inviting him. Dennis Rodman himself says, well, we'll see. I'd really like to be there. So maybe he goes, maybe he does not. We'll all find out together. This is the world we're living in. But he's not invited to the place he wants to go. Now, on the other side of that, you have former NFL wide receiver Terrell Owens. Now, he's going to be inducted into the Football Hall of Fame, which is a big, massive deal. And naturally, he's invited to the ceremony. But he decided that he doesn't want to go. I'm still not clear why he doesn't want to go, but then I realize I also don't care. But it did get us thinking about all the events that we've missed. And sometimes you're like Dennis, where you're just not invited, even though you want to go. Other times you're like Terrell, where you're more than invited. You just decide you don't want to go. Maybe it's something obligatory and you were running late, missed it altogether. Maybe it was the birth of a kid. Or no matter what, you're going to feel bad about it for the rest of your life. But today, this is what we want to know. What did you miss? And was that a good thing or was that a bad thing?
Be part of the big show. Call 844-999-OLA. You can like The Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. Send those emails to themensroom@mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All the Macholas, and away we go. Welcome to show number 2,843 with a large and charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat. As we are now 15 days away from Red Festival. Red Festival going down at the lovely Enumclaw Fairgrounds. We'll see you at the Expo Center on June the 23rd. A sunny Saturday, according to our own, the Ted Smith. Outdoor drinking and other dumb stuff. We will have over 20 beers available for you at Red Festival. Those tickets are on sale now at mensroomlive.com. Not only that, that. But we will have the freestyle motocross guys, the aerialists pouring beer from the sky. If you have not had a Men's Room Gold yet, we'll have it there for you to sample. And even a Men's Room sausage or two, as the fine folks from Uli's will be there as well. And, of course, as you're doing some good there, because a portion of the net proceeds from not only every Men's Room Red or Gold that you drink or every sausage that you eat, but as far as Red Festival is concerned, a portion of the net proceeds from the entire event are going to our friends at the Fisher House and the Seafair Foundation. Bam! So we're doing double good and live music all day, of course. It's going to be a great time. Those tickets are on sale now. Pick them up at mensroomlive.com. Tickets are only $20. We will see you for a sea of red as a red alert is going down. Men's Room Red Festival, Saturday, June 23rd. We are 2 weeks away, 15 days from Red Festival. All right, big show for you today. The return of Ted versus the FCC. Bad jokes on the way, and we will drink and toast with the shot of the day. And today we're going to talk about old athletes that most of you probably don't remember or have forgotten about long ago. Actually, Steve and I were saying, man, if you're 19 years old, Ted, if you're 20 years old, do you know who T.O. is? Do you care? I mean, if you're an NFL fan when you were 8 years old, I mean,
you may have heard his name, because he doesn't have a ring, right? So he's
right. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
No.
Right.
I mean, do you know who he is? Because, it's just, we know who he is. We know all about T.O. And one thing we've always said about T.O., whether you like him or not, whatever team he was on, he did produce. He might have been not the greatest guy as far as being a teammate on some of those teams. How the hell would you know if you're not in the locker room? I don't know, but that was the knock on him. But when he went out there and played, he talked a big game, but he always played well. He played up to that level that you expected, what they were paying him for, why you brought him in. He lived up to it.
He did, but it always seemed like he was kind of a problem, too.
Yeah, inevitably.
Yes.
And sports is one of the few places in the world where it's like, even though you might be awesome, like if you just can't get along with other people in the locker room, like after a while, it's just not worth it to have them.
Okay.
Right, you stop getting hired.
Right?
Yeah.
But look, there's no doubt about it. And we take
But he
this,
was a dominant, he was a dominant.
Absolutely, one of the most dominant receivers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But a douchebag, and then even crazy after he retired from the NFL, and still a little loopy.
So, youngsters, here's your T.O. knowledge. He was a third-round draft selection of the San Francisco 49ers in 1996. Do you remember where he went to college?
Did he go to like a small school?
I think he's small school, but I don't know what it is.
All right. Owens ranks 8th all-time in receptions with 1,078, second in receiving yards with 15,934, and second in receiving yards. Again, think about that. In the history of the NFL, he is second in yards receiving. He is third in receiving touchdowns. He played for the 49ers. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he was traded to the Dallas Cowboys.
He cried a lot, too.
Then he
Especially in Dallas, man.
Played a little bit for the Buffalo Bills, finally the Cincinnati Bengals in a career that spanned 15 years. He is also going to be enshrined in the NFL Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Now, one thing that
University of Tennessee, Chattanooga.
All right, okay.
So smaller school.
So one thing we know about whatever age you are, as far as the NFL goes, it's a big deal, and they have the NFL enshrinement ceremony on the first Saturday that the NFL season unofficially kicks off with the Hall of Fame game. Typically, if they can get the field ready to play, what they'll do is they'll go out and play like a little preseason opener,
right,
so to speak, and it kind of kicks off the NFL football season. But let's face it, getting into the NFL Hall of Fame is a big deal.
Getting into any Hall of Fame, I mean, if that's whatever field you're in, I mean, to go to the Hall of Fame, to say among anyone that's done whatever it is you do, you're one of the best.
Yeah.
That's a big deal,
and
right?
maybe the Baseball Hall of Fame is harder to get in based on the system that they put in place. And sometimes the Baseball Hall of Fame only puts in one person or maybe a couple of people. But
he's earned it.
The NFL Hall of Fame is second to that, I think.
Sure.
I mean, as far as...
not only is it like a special fraternity, right? As they're saying, like, this isn't just being an all-star. Like, you're the best of the best. But it's also kind of a moment where you would forget about the crazy stuff he did.
Absolutely.
Like, you stand up there, you put on that yellow jacket, right? It's yellow.
Yep.
And you get to give that speech, and it's kind of like I don't know. I don't want to say a rebirth, but it's almost like you get to redo your image.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
not only that, but...
I mean, look, man, my man Ray Lewis is going to be inducted into this Hall of Fame class, all right? And he has quite the checkered past, but everyone's going to forget that he may or may not be a murderer, right? At least when he does the speech, hey, man, whatever else we might know about you, right now you're cool.
And he's going to find out what the time limit is on a speech.
Ray Lewis absolutely will, but you'll also find out
Hey, look.
How willing timekeepers are to let someone continue speaking.
Sure. Randy Moss got kicked off. They didn't want to give him a chance at Florida State. The Seminoles didn't even want to give him. He got busted with weed, and of course, weed is the worst thing in the world.
Right.
And Randy Moss smoked weed in high school. He admitted he smoked weed. Then he goes down to Florida State, gets in trouble down there.
First he was going to Notre Dame.
Oh, was he supposed to go to Notre Dame first?
Then they were like, we can't take you. Then he goes to Florida State.
And then he get kicked out of there. And then he ends up at Marshall. And, most people didn't want to take a chance on drafting him. Dennis Green took a chance on drafting Randy Moss. Anyway, back to T.O. for a second. T.O., all right. So he's selected for enshrinement in the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. He has now declined the invitation to attend the induction ceremony. We should also say that as far as any Hall of Fame is out there, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame, the NFL Football Hall of Fame is the one people go to.
Sure, absolutely.
They go there to celebrate the history of football, the great players. I've never heard
because
of anybody...
you legitimately earn... The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is kind of skeezy and a little loose with...
It is.
It's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's right. You guys are still a band, you're in. That's basically how it works, right? So... With the NFL, you have to earn the right to get into these.
Sure. Yeah, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, no offense, but that's kind of entertainment stuff.
It is.
Like,
surely
sports have Hall of Fames and have for a while because there's numbers and that, this guy deserves to be in there.
The NFL, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was like, will Peter Criss and Ace Frehley be able to say anything, or will Gene dominate the mic?
Like, come on.
That's their drama. He says, I made the decision, Terrell Owens, to publicly decline my invitation to attend the induction ceremony in Canton. After visiting Canton earlier this year, I came to the realization that I wish to celebrate what will be one of the most memorable days of my life elsewhere.
How do you say that?
Said he has.
Listen, if you don't,
it's so insulting.
I think that this is a very fair analogy. If you have no idea who this dude is, if you believe this, you know everything you need to know about him. Mm-hmm. He is essentially the Kanye West of football.
We are disappointed, but we'll respect.
All ego. Everything he says is stupid. I mean, like, what his talent is kind of undeniable, but everything he says, his viewpoint on everything is ridiculous. And actually, a good comment came in and said, T.O. not attending his Hall of Fame induction ceremony is the most T.O. thing that T.O. could do.
Yeah.
Sorry, Miles, I can't get over that. After visiting Canton, I came to the realization I wish to celebrate else. Like,
he also says he will announce where and when he'll celebrate his induction at a later date. Quote from the Hall, we are disappointed, but will respect Terrell's decision not to participate in the enshrinement. That from David Baker, who is the president of the Hall of Fame. He also added, while unprecedented, which it is, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the nearly 5,000 volunteers, and the entire community are committed to celebrating the excellence of the class of 2018 and will kick off the NFL's 99th season. And they also said, we're not going to answer any more questions about T.O.'s decision. Owens was selected for enshrinement in the class of 2018. As you said, Steve, that will include Ray Lewis, Randy Moss, Brian Urlacher, and Brian Dawkins. They will be joined by Bobby Bethard. I'm not sure who Bobby is.
Bethard,
yeah, B-E-A-T-H.
Classic GM and stuff, right?
All right. Senior committee nominees, Jerry Kramer and Robert Brazil, and that will go down August 4th.
Bob Brazil?
Bob Brazil. Bobby Brazil. I wish to congratulate all past, current, and future inductees. Owen said in a statement, it's quite an honor to be a part of such elite company. The honor is something that I will cherish forever. Axl Rose didn't show up for Back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when Guns N' Roses. I
don't blame anyone for that, though, man.
No. It's something that you had the opportunity to attend.
Here's the difference. I think,
and it was about you.
As stupid as T.O. is, at some point, I think he will regret that decision. As he gets older and you reflect on your life, you're like, why wouldn't I just go? Axl Rose, I don't think there's a point in his life he is ever going to care that he didn't go to his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It doesn't, just based on the fact I'm sure it's an honor, but it's a meritless thing. I mean, even from our point of view, it's just, you've been around, they remember your name, they put your ass in, man. And the other thing is, like, Madonna is in there. It's the Rock and Roll. You put Pete Rose in the NFL Hall of Fame. Like, once they made that decision, you go like, look, this is not something you could possibly take seriously. It's a big event for people to go to.
He's part of a giant.
And
he's
watch.
Part of a band.
He doesn't,
right? And he at that point, were they getting along? But I mean, like for Sorry,
what you're saying is, what does T.O. have to do right now? Why is he
the number? He's the me guy. It's all about you, T.O.
It's not busy. Okay, we also have this theory. And not to get too much into this, but it's a possible theory. I'm thinking to myself, all right, look, this guy, it's like a nomad. It's like the guy who just travels around everywhere and sleeps on couches. Normally when you go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it's because, like, you're Joe Montana and you played for the 49ers, and yes, there's a couple Chiefs fans there, rah, rah, rah. But, you're really going in as a member of an organization. Ray Lewis,
right?
He'll go in as a Raven. Randy Moss will go in as a Viking, even though he played in New England. I'm sure he'll go in as a Viking. You get the idea. I don't know that T.O. has that home. I don't know that you go in. I mean, I guess you go in as a 49er because they drafted you, or do you go in as a Cowboy? Or do you go in?
But do you have to have it? Like, it's not like baseball where you have to wear. Like in baseball, the bust has a lid on it, so it's a big deal to identify the team. Right. So like with him, I don't think you have to. He can just go in
and talk about himself. Talk about all his great experiences, the teammates he had, the players he had, and everything.
Well, one truth is the fact that no one can claim him as home. You say, look, he can produce anywhere. He's not a system guy. That argument's out the window.
Yeah.
The reason it blows my mind he wouldn't go is just this. Like, because you said with Axl Rose, right? Doesn't go to the Hall of Fame because he's in Guns N' Roses. They put out Appetite for Destruction. There's a paradigm shift in the genre of music. He has nothing to prove to anyone. You can like him, not like him, think he deserves it, doesn't think. He was part of it. He has nothing to prove. So, like, if you had a Super Bowl ring, maybe you could say, it's still a ridiculous thing, but put it this way. A guy by the name of Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring and will never be in the Hall of Fame. So even though he doesn't go in the Hall of Fame, he's got the piece of hardware that makes it worthwhile. With T.O., this is what you've got.
You don't have a ring on T.O. either.
That's what I mean. This is the best you're going to get.
And the other theory, and Bobby here on the Men's Room Twitter kind of brings it up.
Randy Moss didn't have a ring.
Is T.O. salty that this is the third time? Like, he didn't get voted in the first time. He's been on the ballot 3 times.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the douche factor, brother. You got to know that.
Right, because I just can't get past name-checking the town and being like, this town sucks.
I know, man. If you live in Canton, Ohio, you know things aren't awesome there. You understand that.
Yeah.
But then to have T.O., like, man, I wouldn't go back there to get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Here. Like, I don't want to go to Canton.
Hey, look, if I get into any Hall of Fame, whether it's the BS Hall of Fame, like, I'm flying to it.
We're going.
I'm getting in, and then when I come back, I'm having a big-ass party here,
But
too.
now, wait. Now, we say that, right? T.O. said, I've been to Canton after seeing Canton. Even though I'm going to the Hall of Fame, I don't want to go back to that city. All right? Where's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame located?
It is in Cleveland.
Where do they do their induction ceremony?
They do it in Cleveland now.
I thought they did it in New York City.
They moved it back and forth. They do it it depends on the
remember they started, and remember why?
They might have moved it back to New York. I don't know.
When they started doing it in Cleveland, it was harder for them to get their inductees.
I want to say last year they did it in Cleveland.
Because they didn't want to go to Cleveland.
Because I want to say Howard went up on stage because Howard was bringing in, who was it? Bon Jovi, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think Stern went up there and said, like, do you know how hard it was to get me out of my house and make me come to Cleveland? Like, I think I think that was the first thing out of his mouth, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen the whole thing yet on HBO. Our question, what did you miss or not attend? And was that a good thing or a bad thing? 844-999 Ola.
Hello, Matthew. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola. So what did you miss?
I had to take you off speaker.
Okay, then.
All righty.
So I got an idea for T.O., though.
What's that?
Well, first of all, it's how ironic that this very thing's what kept him out the first 2 times, his attitude about his performance.
Right, but he's one of those guys, like I said, he's like Kanye West. Everyone understands what Kanye West's problem is except Kanye West. And the problem is that he's an idiot.
So they should just give him like a Play-Doh statue bust and then put it over in the corner by the janitor's closet or maybe with Carl Upremium or something.
Well, he'll have a bust,
Carl Upremium just
and it was Garrow. He'll have a bust in the NFL Hall of Fame one way or another, and he'll be celebrated the same way as everybody else who's been enshrined. He just won't be there for the ceremony.
It is kind of funny, though. You get an NFL bust if you're a great player, but they call you an NFL bust if you're an SC player.
Yeah.
So what did you miss?
Okay, I missed a little heavy one. I missed my father's funeral.
Okay. Why is that?
My choice, though.
All right.
Well, I mean, the skinny is I was, 12? And I'd only been to one funeral before that, and I really didn't care for it. It just left a real bad taste in my mouth, the whole thing. And so I didn't really want that to be like the last, one of the last things I thought of when, thinking about Dad.
All right. Well, that's a pretty heavy set of circumstances to deal with when you're 12.
Or at any age, but certainly 12. So, but looking back, do you wish you had gone or do you like the decision that you made?
No regrets, really, not at all. I've been to, the grave quite a few times, as an adult, for sure. But, as the whole, no regrets.
Yeah. Hey, man, look, I'm right there with you. Funerals, those types of ceremonies, those services, they are not enjoyable to attend. If you're a kid,
Well,
man,
it's
they're
a
tough.
funeral.
They're tough.
As an adult.
No, that's what I mean. Anytime. They're tough. So as a kid, that would have a very, very, very difficult
I think the only way
through that one.
only way to have a good time at a funeral. I think the only way to go to a funeral and think like, you know what, man, this is all right, is to go to the funeral of someone you hate. I mean, to generally go there and be like,
you couldn't do that.
My spirits are high. I hated that son of a bitch.
I told him I'd show up. I told him when he was alive I'd show up. Look who's here now. Who wins?
Yeah, because even like in my family, right? It's always kind of a good party after the funeral.
Afterwards, sure,
but it's
man.
still tough because you're trading stories. But then eventually, someone will be like, "Oh yeah, he's not going to be here anymore." So I mean, you're right. And then when people go, I don't like these kind of events. Like it's a funeral. Nobody wants to go to a funeral.
Why do
it's
people say
sad
that?
for everyone. Like, trust me, if you're there, you're sad.
You know what would be news? You know what would be a statement worth... Now, someone might think you need mental help, but an interesting statement would be, I'm going to a funeral, and you say, you know, man, I usually enjoy these kinds of things. Like, see, that's interesting.
Okay.
Telling us that you don't enjoy funerals, like, right.
Sure.
Most people don't enjoy surgery. It's like there's certain things you just assume, like, I didn't think you'd like it. It's a funeral.
Right.
Everybody's sad. Someone you know is dead, and then you're going to be here and talk about it.
One of my good friends, who was at my wedding, and I've known him for a long time. He had a wedding last year, and one of the things that was locked down was like, look, man, he told me a long time ahead of time, like 6-7 months, I'm going to get married. It's really important you show up. Hell, you might even be in the wedding party. I don't know what the deal's going to be yet, but he decided not to really have a wedding party. They made it kind of more of a small thing. But right before, it was probably 3 months before that he's married to announce this, I realized it is the same weekend not only as my daughter's, it's her birthday, but then very shortly after that, she's going to graduate from high school.
Yeah.
So all these people are coming out to see me. They're flying out to come out to see me and come out to see my daughter, and they're coming out to celebrate her graduation, her birthday, all those things. I'm having people stay at my house. Regrettably, you know what I mean? And I hated to make the phone call, and I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry. Like this sucks because I do want to be there for you, and I want to go have a great weekend, and I know it'll be a blast, and have a good time and everything else. But I couldn't go. But at the same point in time, I had the obligation. Not obligation. I'm going to hang out with my daughter that weekend. The obligation was to host my frickin' family.
Right. That part's the obligation.
How did he take it?
He was a little bit bummed out. That marriage,
the kid's graduation, man.
But that marriage lasted 4 months. 4 months.
See, that's the other day. Once my kid graduates, it's not like 12 years from now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
They're going to take the diploma away, and she loses half her education. Right? So I'm definitely going to attend the graduation, because that's a guarantee.
Yeah, graduation actually happened.
That's what I mean.
It's not always a guarantee.
She won't lose half her credits
exactly.
a little way down the road. This is a done deal now.
What did you miss or not attend? And was that a good thing or a bad thing? 844-999-OLA. More of your calls coming up. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitch, hola. You have entered the men's room.
Former NBA star Dennis Rodman says he will travel to Singapore for the historical summit between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un, even though Mr. Trump said he was not invited. Rodman announced his plans via a tweet and thanked the cryptocurrency company Potcoin for sponsoring his trip.
Unaware of Potcoin. Have you heard of that before right now?
I have heard of pot and coin. I've never heard of Potcoin.
Me neither.
Potcoin's going to be big.
Potcoin
sure
is
it is.
Every dime I have is in Potcoin.
Potcoin.
Every dime bag you have.
What do we think the value of Potcoin is? Do we know? Did
Right
it go
now?
up today, Potcoin?
I don't know what it's at. I'm going to say it's up 50 cents.
All right.
Now that
Potcoin.
Rodman... Okay, so you're on it now. Yeah, what is Potcoin?
It's a digital currency company, and it looks like it's banking for the cannabis industry.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But,
Right.
well, you know what? A lot of the banks, because they're federal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put your money in there, so maybe that's the alternative to being able to do that.
That makes sense.
I don't know a lot about the business other than the fact that it's kind of shaky whether you can go like, here's all my weed money, Wells Fargo, thanks.
They love it, but I don't think legally they can take it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. White House officials have repeatedly said that Rodman would play no official role in the diplomatic negotiations, and that Mr. Trump said the basketball legend had not been invited to the June 12th summit. Rodman, however, is among the few Westerners who have actually met the North Korean leader and said he would give whatever support is needed to his friends, Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim. I like him, by the way, Mr. Trump said of Rodman. He's a nice guy. No, he was not invited, though. Rodman's tweet, however, announcing the trip includes a photo of him, Trump, and Kim in front of flags of both nations and the word unite.
All right.
So Dennis is going to get it done. In a Fox News interview, White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley said that Rodman is great on the court, but negotiation should best be left to those who are good at it. Donald Trump is the best, so we expect he and Kim Jong-un to have an amazing conversation without Dennis Rodman, according to Gidley. Rodman has called the North Korean leader his friend for life. Rodman's first visited North Korea in 2013, along with members of the Harlem Globetrotters. And he has returned several times since then. He held Kim's daughter he held her daughter during a visit in 2013. Potcoin again has sponsored Rodman's travel to North Korea in the past. In 2017, the Basketball Hall of Famer was photographed in North Korea wearing a Potcoin t-shirt and a baseball hat. They say the cryptocurrency company gives marijuana businesses access to banking, blah, 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 blah. I asked again on Friday whether Rodman would possibly be attending the summit. Mr. Trump said Dennis was a great rebounder, and he wasn't, relatively speaking, to the leader, though, that tall. So he was saying Dennis was a great rebounder, even though he was not that tall.
What?
Dennis Rodman?
Right. He was basically saying, like, look, the great thing about Dennis was he was a great rebounder, and he wasn't that tall. So he's
Compared to who?
I don't know what he's talking about. The meeting next week will be in Singapore and will be the first of its kind between a leader of North Korea and a sitting U.S. president. I didn't miss, you said you never missed a flight. I
was going back. I'm trying to remember, man, I don't think I have been on the wrong
For the
flights,
record, by the
stuff
way,
like that. Yeah.
Dennis Rodman is 6'7".
Yes, he is 6'7".
That's tall to me.
That's tall to me.
Tall
And
to
I'm
everybody.
tall.
Tall to a lot of people.
But I don't think I've ever actually missed a flight. And I've come close. I've been hammered with you, and somehow we still made it. But, yeah, I've seen other people miss flights. But I don't think I've ever missed a flight.
Dude, I missed one, and I was in the airport.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
What,
You've heard this story.
At the bar?
Yeah, we're at the bar. It's me and my buddy Will. We're in Jacksonville. We'd just been to the Florida-Georgia game the day before. So we're at the bar drinking. We got like 3 hours to wait. And then this gorgeous blonde woman walks in. Knee-high boots, short skirt. The
whole deal.
The whole bar goes silent. She saddles right up next to us. We start chatting with her. She starts chatting with us. She's like, I get really nervous, so I like to do shots. Can I buy you guys a shot? We go,
Yeah.
So 3 shots later, we find out that she's, bisexual, which we're eating up and everything. And then I go to catch my flight.
We're there. We're there for 3 hours.
The
story just keeps getting better and better and better. And then we eat chicken wings. And
But what I remember is she's bisexual.
And we talk about her
Yes.
fantasies.
She dated a female cop. I don't know. We thought it was awesome.
Right.
So then I go to my gate, and there's the plane. The door's locked, and it's like backing away. And I'm like, oh, man. So I got to go out through security, like rebook the flight. And the lady's like, don't miss your flight again. I'm like, okay. So we get back there. Now she's going into the story of dating the other woman.
So you already missed the first
I
flight.
already missed my flight.
Okay.
Right? And they're laughing and joking. I think at this point we did the 3rd shot. And then Will leaves to catch his flight. And doesn't make it.
No, he did
So
not.
he has to walk back. Out of the 3 of us, who made their flight?
She did.
Yes, of course she did. And then by this point, the people, I won't say which airline, they were very nice, but they were like, Mr. Smith, Mr. whatever his last name is, like, don't miss these flights. And like finally a lady came over and was like, you two seem all right, but just leave the bar now, guys. Like, you're going to miss So it was, yeah. So we missed it. We were both, we were feet away from the gate and we missed them.
Mine was
knee-high boots.
Mine was
Dude, she was hot.
Mine was a typical take a red eye. I'm in Atlanta and I go, all right, there's the gate. This is the gate I need. I see the gate. I look up. This is a puddle jumper of a flight. They have smaller little gates. So where Delta normally has, the bigger planes, these are the planes where you're basically kind of walking out onto the runway, walking up the stairs. So I'm in that area of the airport. And I'm 2.5, 3 hours early, but it's also 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Nothing is open. I think I had a Bojangles biscuit, ate that, and like, all right, I'm going to go to the gate. I'm going to sit down with my bag, and then I've got 2 hours to kill. I'll fall asleep, whatever. I will wake up. I will get on the flight. No big deal. Flight's at 6:30. I can do this. I sit in the chair. I open my eyes. It's 10:30.
Oh, damn, man.
Not only did they change the gate that I initially sat down in to the other side of the airport, no one woke me up.
Yeah.
No one cared. No one cared. And I went to the gate and I was like, hey. It's like I was asleep at that gate. She's like, well, sir, the flight didn't leave that gate. It never was scheduled to. It was scheduled to earlier, but not. I don't know that.
The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.